Hello and welcome to This Week on Planet Earth. I'm your co-host Jacob.
And I'm your co-host Matty, where each week we break down the latest space exploration, science and technology news.
So without further ado, let's get into this week's stories. So I'm going to kick off this week with a little interesting story. And basically, a couple discovered a load of fossils in Wiltshire. And this article here basically says that Neville and Sally Hollyworth, non-professional paleontologists, discovered a site in Wiltshire during the second COVID lockdown whilst researching the geology of the area. And they contacted this doctor, and Dr. Irwin was amazed by the hundreds of specimens that were there dating back to the Jurassic period, up to 174 million years ago, which I thought was pretty cool. I've been keeping a theme recently of having some kind of fossil. So
yeah, I've noticed you had them a few weeks in a row. But yeah, these ones look particularly interesting. There's some nice pictures of these. I think it's mammoth skulls, some of the mammoth fossils. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, so my first bit of news was about the Hubble Space Telescope. So recently, so on the 13th of June, so a little over a month ago, Hubble Space Telescope was taken offline because of a problem with one of its payload computers. So these are computers it uses to sort of control the instruments on board. But luckily, it's taken just over a month. They've managed to switch over to some sort of backup hardware, and they managed to do some software patches and stuff. So it's back working again. So I think as of now, it's back doing some sort of preliminary measurements again, just to make sure things are working. But it seems to have been successful. So Hubble lives on.
Yay. Do you reckon, I reckon it'll probably live on for quite some time as well, to be fair. I don't see them bringing it down anytime soon. I know they're putting up if they ever put the James Webb Telescope up, but I can imagine that Hubble will probably stay up too.
Yeah, I can't see them, unless there's some massive funding cut that we don't know about. I can't see them decommissioning it until it sort of breaks or something like that. But yeah, it's been up there for over 30 years now, so it's hanging on.
It's insane. So my next piece of news is that SpaceX Super Heavy booster aces its static fire test on its first try. And basically, CEO Elon Musk on Twitter said that SpaceX had successfully fired up the Super Heavy, the largest rocket booster in the world, on first try, potentially opening the door for a more significant, ambitious static fire in the future. And it's known as Booster 3. And SpaceX completed Starship's first functional Super Heavy booster prototype around July the 1st and rapidly rolled out the rocket and installed it on a customized mount previously used for testing and launching the Starship prototypes. So I just love how fast they do stuff at SpaceX. It's nuts.
Yeah, they do seem to like roll stuff out like every couple of days, and particularly with the Falcon rockets, it's not uncommon to see sort of like two of them being prepared at the same time. So
and this Super Heavy, it looks massive. Sticking a Starship at the top of that is just going to be nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible the sort of pace they've developed these things with. It's really awesome. Yeah. So my a bit of news, because I know we've got a big piece coming at the end, so I'll keep it quick. It's about a film, and it's got a bit of controversy. So this is a film, it's like a documentary film called Roadrunner, and it's about chef Anthony Bourdain, who died relatively recently in 2018, I think it was. But essentially in this film, they've used AI to sort of generate his voice and read things that he like emailed and tweeted and things.
Yeah.
So they were like using this like text to speech thing, but using AI to make it sound like Anthony Bourdain. And there's been like quite a lot of backlash against this about it being like unethical, that people are being tricked into thinking that like he had said this thing. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to know what you sort of thought about it, because I know we've discussed these things before.
Yeah, that's quite weird. I guess if anybody's given permission, then it's fine. I would think it was cool if like I'd passed away and somebody was like regenerating my voice, or like a hologram of me on stage or something like that. I think that's kind of cool. It's got like a cyberpunk element to it. But I guess if companies just gone and done it, I could see why that would be bad, because it would be like if you lost your partner or something and then you started hearing them speak again, it would probably throw you.
I think it does open up into the sort of question we had about sort of artificial intelligence taking over jobs, because if it's got to the point where they can like generate speech like this that's convincing enough that it sounds like him, then what's to stop them just using AI to voice over entire movies, or like voice, particularly things like animated movies. That's like potentially like an entire career of like voice acting.
Yeah, just
completely redundant. But I thought it was very interesting. So.
Yeah, that is interesting. So for our final piece of news, it would make sense for us to cover both of the pretty big space launches in the last 2 weeks, because obviously now we're taking a week break. Well, we're on and off every other week now. So we've had the two big ones. We've had the Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson launch in his space plane, and we've had Jeff Bezos go up in New Shepard with Blue Origin. So Matty, first of all, what are your thoughts?
I guess sort of watching them, they're obviously very different sort of things, aren't they? Like watching the Virgin one, it felt very much like more of a plane than anything else. Like you would go up, you would have this like long experience of like getting to altitude, and you'd have it felt very similar to like the current 0G things that we have now, but you get the sort of kudos of going higher, and like obviously the design of the ship itself with the big windows just looks awesome, like on the top. So that felt very sort of calm and gentle, and quite I don't want to say easy, but like it didn't wow me in the same way that the sort of watching the Blue Origin one, it felt like a rocket launch, which of course it was.
Yeah.
And it felt, I said to you, we were sort of talking about it beforehand, it felt sort of dangerous, a bit sort of like thrown together.
Yeah, I know. I'd agree with you, because I don't know if we're just used to seeing like NASA streams or SpaceX streams, or because I'd agree with you, even with like the Virgin Galactic one, it was very like calm. They went up on a plane, launched off a plane, kind of did it, came back down. That was kind of that. But with this, it like even the pad, it looked kind of like thrown together. The rocket kind of looked thrown together. The pod, even at the top of it, doesn't look like it's super secure, but hey, whatever. And like knowing that Jeff Bezos got on it and it had the giant windows, it was just, it was pretty crazy. And to watch it like disconnect too, when it like ejected the pod bit off. And I don't know, have you seen the camera bit where it was like inside the pod in space? Yeah, it's super cool. And they're like bouncing around and throwing the ping pong ball and stuff. And I'd agree with you, that one just, it looked loads more fun, but at the same time kind of terrifying. And for the prices too, because isn't like Blue Origin at the moment like 1.2 million a seat, and I think Virgin Galactic's going to be like, is it like 160,000 or 260,000?
It's hundreds of thousands rather than million, sort of thing.
So like the chances of me being able to do any is probably Virgin Galactic. So like I would do either of them. I know me and you were kind of talking about this with like the Blue Origin one, how it's kind of terrifying, but I'd do it. I think it'd be awesome. I'd like to sit in that seat, look out that giant window and just watch Earth get smaller, experience 0G for a minute and come back down. But I did think when it hit the ground, even though it was only going like 16 miles an hour, I did think that sudden jolt would hurt.
I think what it is for me is that, like, watching these stuff, I think I realised is that the space plane, if the engine fails, it glides. If the capsule fails, it falls like a stone. That's like that. I think that's like the ultimate thing for me. Like I was watching, it's like, it definitely felt like the Virgin one was much more of like, and even the sort of live stream, it felt very like commercial and sort of like an advertisement that they were trying to sell. Whereas the Blue Origin one kind of felt like, look what we can do. Like we've just about managed to do it.
No, I'd agree with you, and I think both of them were like obviously massive PR stunts to kind of get marketing behind both of these, because this is going to be the industry for like the next 20 years. But it's super weird, isn't it? Because like when we started the Infinite Void and everything, like this time last year, we were talking about space tourism as if it was like a decade away. And it's weird that like even in a year, people have already started going. I know it's like the billionaires at the moment, but it's still crazy that it's happening. And we've got all these competitions to send people up to space and everything. And it's just nuts. It's just nuts. Yeah. I wonder if Elon now is just going to hold off until he can go to Mars, and that's when he'll finish it. Because he said he wants to die on there, doesn't he? But just not on impact. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. I can imagine he doesn't want to go up now because everybody's done it. He's just like, damn it, it's not cool anymore. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this week on Planet Earth. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below. And if we missed any cool news stories or anything that you want to suggest for a future news story, let us know in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because we're trying to get 100 so we can have that custom link with this one. We want it to be /Twope News. And yeah, if you want to follow us on social media, it's at Twope News on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob E. Carson and Matty at the Matty JMP. And yeah, we will catch you next episode.